Good morning, everyone. Welcome to midterm preview day. On Friday, there will be the second midterm, and which works out to like what 10 or 15% of your grade. So we'll go over a review for it today. But in short, you should know broadly what each of the major topics we've talked about in this class. I know 2/3 of the way done with the semester, maybe more. Depending on how you count it. I still don't know if spring break counts or not. So we are going to go over last semester's midterm 2, and if there's something different, because I change how I teach every semester. So I'll go over any changes between last year's and this year's. Okay, so let's take this one at a time. Suppose x is true, y is false, and z is true. Okay. Whenever you have a compound truth statement like that, you just work through it one part at a time. X ANDed with y, x is true, y is false, x ANDed with y is false. ORed with y and z, y is false, z is true, that is false as well. False ORed with false is false. The answer is false. Guys have any questions about how these sorts of things work? You can make a truth table for it if you want to solve it, but basically, let's see, this is the same as this one, except with an and in the middle, so that's going to be false also. Now meme midterm. I can find memes for you guys. For some reason, students have a lot harder time dealing with memes than with like just me typing up an argument. Suppose I tell you that if I play Hades in the afternoon, I will be happy in the evening. You see me happy in the evening. Did I play Hades in the afternoon? What do you guys think? Yes, no, or maybe? Tell you truthfully, if I play Hades in the afternoon, I'll be happy in the evening. I'm happy in the evening. Did I play Hades in the afternoon? The answer is actually maybe. Right? This is a classic affirming the consequent fallacy. X implies y, therefore X. No. This is affirming the consequent. For example, I could be happy because, I don't know, I ate some lemon meringue pie or something like that. I could be happy for another reason. But all I've told you is that if I do play Hades, I will be happy in the evening. But I could be happy for other reasons as well. And so some people will do the fallacy and say, well, clearly he did not play Hades. It's not necessarily true. I might have. I told you if I play Hades, I'll be happy in the evening. And, maybe I did. Maybe I ate lemon meringue pie. I don't know. Okay. Suppose I tell you truthfully that if I play Sekiro in the afternoon, I'll be angry in the evening. I remember what I was doing last semester now. That's absolutely a true statement. Okay, so if I play Sekiro in the afternoon, I'll be angry in the evening. You see me happy in the evening. Did I play Sekiro? You got a dirty chai right here. Not sure I like it. The chai tea with a shot of espresso in it. Does it taste quite right? The answer is no. Right. The form of this argument, you have to learn how to look at an argument and deduce the form of it. So this says, if x, then y. Not y. Therefore not x. Valid. Right? That is one of the two valid forms of an argument. Because it is guaranteed that if I play Sekiro, I will not be happy. But I am happy. Therefore, I did not play Sekiro. This is a valid argument. And sound as well. Apparently the game's a lot better if you play on a controller. I played on a mouse and keyboard. the game is very punishing if you die, and you die a lot in the game. So, yeah. So on the midterm for invalid arguments, we will pick maybe. Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, think about it, right? So, like, this isn't asking, is this true or false or valid, invalid, or sound, right? I'm asking, did I play Hades, right? And, if this was a valid argument, it'd be, I played Hades. But in this case, it's a valid argument, and the answer is obviously no. X implies Y, not Y, therefore not X. Yes, modus tollens, right? For this one, X implies Y, Y, therefore X, invalid, right? So maybe, so just think about it, right? Like, it's possible I played Hades and I'm happy, but it's also possible that, I went for a walk on a beautiful spring day and I'm happy because of that. Not X ANDed with Y equals what? So this is the De Morgan's law that we talked about. If you distribute, you can distribute a not across a parentheses, and the not turns the and into an or, and then not's the left and the right part. Do you guys remember this from Zybooks? So we did go over this. So this turns into not X ORed with not Y. Not X ORed with not Y. Okay. It's just a straight application of De Morgan's law. It's like when you multiply a inequality by -1, right? 3 is less than 5. You multiply both sides by -1. You get -3 is less than -5. Wait, no, that's not right. So you have to turn the sign around, right? So a not in logic is, like multiplying by -1 in an inequality. If you guys remember that from algebra. So 3 is less than 5, right? But if you multiply by -1, you get -3, -5. But then the alligator has to turn around. I don't know. Maybe that helps. Maybe that doesn't. That's how I think about it. What is X ORed with X? What is X ORed with X? You know? True? False? X? Y? What is X ORed with X? Anyone? Think about the logic. If X is true, X ORed with X is true. If X is false, X ORed with X is false. So it's just X, right? So X ORed with X can be simplified down to just X. And what is not Y? What is not Y? Yep, Y, right? If you not something twice, the knots cancel out. So you end up with X ANDed with Y. So that simplifies down to X, that simplifies down to Y. More logic stuff. If I tell you truthfully, if I play Skyrim, I will install mods for Skyrim. X implies Y. Okay? If I install Skyrim, mods for Skyrim, then I will be happy. Y implies Z. So X implies Y, Y implies Z. I played Skyrim. X. Is Z true? X implies Y, Y implies Z. X is true, therefore Z. Yeah? No? Maybe? What do you think? Are implications transitive? That's what this is asking. Yes. Yes, maybe. Unfortunately, this is not a pen and paper test. You cannot do the Schrodinger's answer. Yes. Sekiro Ninja just entered behind me. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. X implies Y, Y implies Z. If X is true, then Z is true. What's going on? Some ninjas up in here. All right. So implication is transitive. Okay. Let's say that there are 1,000 different classes that are offered at Fresno State, and that 3 of my friends are taking classes here. Oh, we haven't done set theory yet. We're going to do that. Set theory, 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 set theory. We haven't covered that yet. We need to cover that. Okay. Fallacies. You're not qualified to be president because you have secret business dealings with China. But you have secret business dealings with China too. What fallacy is this? You too. You also. Oh. Person A, all cops are bastards. Person B, all cops can't be bastards. My father's cop, and it makes me sad you're saying this. What fallacy is person B making? Not person A. Person A is arguably making a false generalization. Hasty generalization. What argument is person B making? Field of emotion. Good. Former Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney did not vote for Trump in 2020. Then Mitt Romney is a rhino. Rhino means Republican in name only, which means they think Romney is not a real Republican. What fallacy is person B making? No true Scotsman, right? Being a Republican is more than just one, person you vote for or not. Amy Coney Barrett just got sworn into the SCOTUS. Person B, I'm going to have to leave the country. Republicans all want to control women's bodies. What fallacy is person B making? It's also a hasty generalization, but that's not one of the options. Yes, a straw man. Person A, the best way to run a household is for people running the household to hold all property in common. If you're married, then you have joint ownership of the house and bank accounts and things like that. Person B, I agree. Therefore, the best way to run best way to run a household is for people running the household to hold it all in common. I agree that, therefore, the best way to run a country is by having all the people of the country hold all property in common. If it works for a household, it must work for the country. Yeah, opposition, right? Just because this works for a household doesn't mean that it works for a country. In fact, I think history is rather clear that it does not work very well. All right. Person A, I think Trump is going to win in Pennsylvania because everyone I know says he will. I disagree. I heard CNN saying he wasn't going to win it. What fallacy are both people making here? Yeah, the last one. Person A is making an ad populum. Person B is making an ad verecundium. Okay. Person A, I've been taking Japanese at Fresno City College, and it is so hard. True story. Person B, I agree Japanese is hard. Eating Japanese requires chopsticks, and I'm terrible at chopsticks. Person A says, I've been taking Japanese at Fresno City College, it's so hard. Person B says, I agree, Japanese is hard. Eating Japanese requires chopsticks, and I'm terrible at chopsticks. So this is equivocation, right? Because in the first one, Japanese means the language, like Nihongo, right? Like learning how to speak Japanese. And in this one, Japanese means like food, Japanese cuisine. Nihon ryori, like Japanese cuisine. It's an equivocation on it. Right? Equivocation means you use the same word in two different senses. Right? I agree it's hard. Requires chopsticks. Okay. 23 is Jean Lafitte, who was was one of the last of the pirates. Lived well after the golden age of piracy, you would say, is over, but was still quite active in the Caribbean and in the southern part of America. Jean Lafitte was a bad person, a coward, and a notorious pirate. Person B, what about the time that he and his pirates helped defend New Orleans against a British attack and was cited for gallantry by Andrew Jackson? True story. By the way, the Battle of New Orleans had a pirate contingent in it, fighting for the Americans. True story. History is amazing, by the way. Unfortunately, most of the way that history is taught is very boring. But, man, can you imagine? You got your plan of battle out there, you got your cannons, you got your line infantry. Over there, we got just the pirates, yelling R at each other and swinging on ropes. I don't know. Well, other than that one time. Yeah, it's a moving goalpost for sure. Go. An acquaintance of mine, Bill Coate, he's on TV sometimes. I don't know if he still is. I haven't seen him in a while. But he would do like a wagon train in Madeira. And I think he teaches, or taught, I don't know if he's still around, middle school history. And would have a real life wagon train that the kids would go on, and he would do like history stories from the Fresno area and stuff like that. Born too late to explore the world, too young to explore the cosmos, but just the right time for anime and memes. Yeah. All right, person A. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere have increased from 390 in 2010 to 410 in 2020. We should do something about CO2 emissions to slow down this growth. Person B, but in the same time period, the world's economy has increased from 89 trillion to 138 trillion. Clearly, the GDP tracks CO2 emission, so we need more CO2 in the atmosphere rather than less. What fallacy is this? Person A, CO2 levels are rising. Person B, look, the economy goes up when CO2 levels go up. Therefore, we should have more CO2. That's clearly good for our economy. Correlation is not causation. Right. Person A, I like animals, and I think all animals should be given the same rights as humans. Person B, Hitler also loved animals. I can't trust anything said by a person who likes the same thing Hitler liked. What fallacy is this? Is ad hominem. It's not appeal to ignorance. Appeal to ignorance means I don't know why X, therefore Y. And a lot of people will just say like, well, that clearly person B is ignorant. No. Appeal to ignorance is a form of an argument where you say, I don't know why the universe exists, therefore God did it. Or I don't know why the universe exists, therefore God couldn't have done it. Either way, it's an appeal to ignorance. I don't know why X, therefore Y. You can't draw any conclusions if you don't know something, basically. Or very hard to draw a conclusion if you don't know something. I guess all you can draw is you should study more, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so that's an ad hominem. It's attacking. It's person A made an argument, and person B is attacking the argument by attacking the person. If you attack the person instead of the argument, it's an ad hominem. Okay? Ad hominems are Oftentimes, we use ad hominem to just mean like you're insulting a person. You can insult a person while you contradict them, with evidence and facts and reason. That's fine. It's not an ad hominem. It's an ad hominem when you don't deal with their argument, you just attack their character, right? That's something a person of your character would say. Science is not certain why the universe exists. Oh, yeah, there we go. So there's your appeal to ignorance right there. We don't know why the universe exists, therefore it must be God. Boom, appeal to ignorance. Person A, I think democracy works. Person B, I disagree. When democracy doesn't work, America elects the person I hate to be president. Since we elected the person I hate to be president, clearly democracy doesn't work. Yeah, so this is circular reasoning. X implies Y, Y implies X. Right. And then extra credit, I did study Japanese. And I'm taking Japanese too right now. It's exciting. All right, let's see how I did on this. 800. Oh yeah, we didn't do the set theory one, so whatever. So what different will be on this midterm 2 for you guys? We've done a lot more of the social issues in computer science before the second midterm. So let's come up with some new questions for you guys. Let's do that. Side 1, new page. Today's date is 4/14/21. All right. Midterm. Midterm questions. Okay. What is algorithmic bias? If I give you an example, can you recognize it? Like I said, this semester I've been taking a class at Duke for computer science professors. It's actually a class only open to computer science professors that are actively teaching students. And this is one of the things we're studying. Midterm is on Friday. You'll have a window of time to do it. Once you start it, you have a timer starts. So don't open the test to look at it and close it. You'll have a bad time. I think, did I give you like just the entire weekend last time? Does that sound about right? Yeah. So there's a hard cutoff of the start of class on Monday, right? So don't start it at 9:30 thinking that you can get, no, hard cutoff, start of class on Monday, all right? It'll begin after class on Friday. Right after class, the window will open. And once you open the window, you have, I don't know how much time I gave you, like an hour or two, something like that to do it. Probably 2 hours, something like that. Okay. Your wallpaper reminds me of Tangled, really? Huh. It's like a mountain. Two brothers, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so can you guys, like, if I gave you as an example, facial recognition not working on people with darker skin, you should be able to be like, that's algorithmic bias. Okay. Missing the lanterns. Okay. All right. What is what is the replication crisis? The race for clout, but for scientists, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, the replication crisis is that replication is a core part of science, scientific method. Yeah, what is the scientific method? Right. Sure, that's a bit hard because nobody really knows. There's a lot of, or rather, people all know, but they all have different opinions on it, right? So. Kuhn says the scientific method is just whatever it is that scientists do and punt on it. But for most people, we didn't talk about Popper, did we? Talk about that today, actually. The demarcation problem. What is science? To talk about that today, actually. So the replication crisis is a core part of science is people being able to replicate your findings. So you publish a thing saying, look, people that take classes from Kearney are at the end of the semester more intelligent and physically attractive and charming than people that don't, right? And so that would be and I publish a paper saying, look, here's the before, here's the after. Before, it's like, and then afterwards, everyone shampoos their hair and it's shiny, And and then I publish it, and I have my data, and here's the before, here's the after. I do the stats, like it's a p-value of, p-values are. It's like a p of less than 0.01 means 1% chance the results were due to chance. This is not exactly accurate, but okay. It means there's a 99% chance the paper is accurate. Also actually technically wrong and oversimplified, but whatever. So if you see a p-value of less than 0.01, that means there's a less than 1% chance. It's due to chance. Again, sorry, but it's an oversimplification, but it works. Okay. So here's the problem. I publish this, and I'm not even lying about it, right? I'm not even lying about it. I don't need tenure. I don't even care. I'm just like, look how great Computer Science 1 is for my students. They come in like this, and they come out like this, Fantastic. And then somebody else is like, oh, that's a really interesting study. I'll do a study myself, and they teach computer science like I teach it here, and then they're like, nah, man, I don't see any changes, right? So it didn't replicate. That's what it means. So if somebody else runs your experiment and it doesn't replicate, then what? Right? Then it didn't replicate. And so people can't trust your results anymore. Now, there's a few different possibilities here. Why do things not replicate? Well, it's possible they didn't copy it right? They didn't have me teaching it, And maybe they just did kind of a half-assed job trying to teach Computer Science 1 the way I teach it, and so the students didn't like it, or whatever, Or they don't have, I don't know, they're missing some component. They don't have Canvas or something. They don't have Discord. They decided to do it on Zoom instead, So it's possible they didn't copy, right? It's possible the author was straight up lying, or it's possible there was some confounding factor, right? For example, there's coronavirus going on right now. So at the beginning of the semester, we were in a pandemic. At the end of the semester, maybe we're out of the pandemic, and people are going outside, and their skin tone they have a nice healthy glow instead of the indoor golem look. There could just be some other factor, right? like the pandemic that didn't replicate because maybe they replicated after the pandemic's over and everyone was outside and healthy again or something, right? So there's a lot of reasons why papers don't replicate, but the replication crisis, is that most landmark papers in psychology and also in medical studies and things like that fail to replicate. And it's a problem in other domains as well. Like people have done this replication study in multiple domains, and all of them have problems with replication. Like the papers just don't replicate, right? What is the replication crisis? Can you recognize it? Somebody publishes a paper, people try replicating it, it doesn't replicate. So that means this paper that we thought had a 99% chance of being right, which again is not exactly what the p-value means, is wrong. Or maybe it's wrong. I don't know. Maybe the people didn't copyright. But the problem is that they've done this replication study on a lot of papers, and a lot of them don't replicate, right? With only 20% having the ability to replicate and with the same strength as the paper indicated. So that means 80% of papers were either wrong or exaggerating, or the replication efforts weren't done right. And part of the problem with science is we don't know which is which. Like just maybe all these people are replicating the other people's papers, and maybe they're just doing it wrong. It's possible. It's possible. Okay, so replication crisis, scientific method. Kuhn and Scientific Revolutions, paradigm shifts. So in a nutshell, science will have a theory, evidence will build up for it, anomalies that it can't explain will build up against it, and over time, if the anomalies build up too much, then Kuhn argues that there will be a paradigm shift and science will move from one model as the accepted consensus truth to another model, moving from Newtonian physics to Einstein's relativity theory, right? And then to quantum mechanics, right, or whatever. And right now we have this weird situation where we have both quantum mechanics and we have relativity, and they don't work with each other, right? Gravity is used in relativity is used at big scales, quantum mechanics at the small scales, and they don't work with each other. If you plug the values in, they don't work. And so, don't know which is right. Or, the grand unified theory is the holy grail for a lot of scientists, and it's not done yet. So we know physics is wrong, right? To a certain extent, right? Or at least it's not complete, is probably a better way of putting it. To a certain extent, but it's possible we might just find that one of these two theories is just wrong. It's possible because right now you can't use them with each other. Unfortunately, they're in different scales, and so we don't. The quantum level, the effect of gravity is so small, like it's utterly insignificant. And at the big scales, relativity is the important factor. Right? Okay, so what is science? So this is called the Demarcation Problem. What is science? What makes something science? What makes something not science? It's a guy by the name of Karl Popper, and I guess we're not going to have no set theory, so don't worry about that. If you take the practice midterm, just don't worry about the set theory questions. We'll do that after the midterm. Science is everything. Yeah. Me stating I like the taste of a dirty chai, not actually the case. Is that science? Pizza is delicious. I don't know. So science is divided from pseudoscience. Is the big thing, right? Because pseudoscience are these things that look like science but aren't science, right? And so, Pantene Pro V shampoo contains provitamins to increase the health of your hair. The hell is a provitamin, and why does your hair need provitamins? And how is your hair healthy? Like I kind of get like your hair's not alive, it's like keratin, but you can't even say it's wrong because you don't even know what the terms mean in that case, right? Like, I mean, I know what a provitamin is in chemistry, but that's in your bloodstream. Like, how does a provitamin, like, I mean, it sounds cool. It's a provitamin. It's a professional vitamin. It's a provitamin. Your hair doesn't use provitamins. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what it means, And so that would be what's called pseudoscience, right? And it's very commonly used in marketing. Penta water. If you drink Penta bottled water, they used to advertise and they got shut down for, this problem. You didn't even know you can go pro. Yeah. So Penta water was said to be a better form, a more hydrating form of water, because they expose it to ultrasound things, and the water molecules form into pentagonal shaped mega molecules. They don't link together. They're vibrated and they form these pentagonal shapes. And so when you drink them, the pentagonal shapes somehow enter your system faster and hydrate you faster than if you were to drink regular chaotic water. Utter pseudoscience. If you look at the Penta water under an electron microscope, it's regular water. Like, oh well, you can't see it, and so this is something that Popper would call an unfalsifiable claim. So an unfalsifiable. What happened to my highlighting here? An unfalsifiable claim is one that cannot, even in theory, be proven false by science. Something that is unfalsifiable is not science. Okay. So, even after, people looked at the Penta water and like, yeah, that's just water, dude. Yeah, but the electron microscope destroyed the pentagonal shapes. Like, can you imagine? Like, water just moves around. Like, if you've ever taken chemistry, the entire notion is nonsense, right? But no matter what experiment you do on Penta water, like, no, see, your experiment ruined the pentagon shapes in the water, man. Yeah, that's pseudoscience. Okay, pseudoscience. Let's see. We talked about the is-ought divide, kind of like the naturalistic fallacy. There's no logical connection between the way things are and the way things have to be, right? Cyanide is natural. That doesn't mean we should eat cyanide, just because slavery was practiced by, most civilizations throughout history, right? Doesn't mean we should practice slavery, right? Well, it's just natural for humans to enslave each other. It might very well be. That doesn't mean we should do it, right? And so the way, like, science can only tell us the way things are, right? Science can tell us, if you drink tea, your chances of getting a cold go down by 3%. Cool. But that doesn't tell you if you should drink tea, right? Because you might hate the taste of tea. You know what I mean? Like, it's like science can just give you the facts. Like, here's what'll happen probably, and then especially in moral issues, like it's moral to drink tea, or like in the Mormon Church, it's immoral to drink hot tea, right? The prohibition, it's actually kind of interesting. Like, a lot of people think that Joseph Smith prohibited drinking tea and coffee. And like at BYU, I think they didn't have caffeinated drinks at all for that reason. But I don't remember the exact verse from the Book of Mormon, but it was something like, hot. It was a prohibition on like hot drinks or something like that, and so it was interpreted to mean caffeinated beverages were no good. But you can't go from science like, all right, science says that tea is has very mild benefits in these different areas to you should or should not drink tea, morally speaking. There's no connection from that. And so that is called the is-ought divide. Framing, of course. People will choose frames, let's say politicians especially, will choose frames beneficial to their side. A frame, so simplified way of understanding complicated situation. So picking a simplified, let's put it like that. All right, so my boy Richard Stallman, he simplifies Microsoft or most proprietary software as proprietary software. It's not free. He divides the world into free software and unfree software, proprietary software. So who would want unfree software? Or he divides software into software that respects your rights and software that violates your rights. Why would you pick software that violates your rights? Like Windows 10 that spies on you. And maybe he has a point. But the point is, like, the point is that that's the frame that he approaches the world. Do you want software that is free and respects your rights? Do you want software that is unfree? Right? And then Microsoft would say, well, do you want software that is supported by a major corporation with a warranty? Or do you want software that is just written by a bunch of losers in their basements, no warranty, man? You don't know if what they're programming is any good. We're professionals here. And that's literally the argument that Microsoft makes. Right? We're a professional company. We do better than just random hackers on the internet. How can you trust random hackers on the internet? And so that's framing, right? That's the Microsoft versus Linux division that was very big until recent years, which Microsoft started embracing Linux kind of to a certain extent. Cryptography. Hides your communications over the internet from anyone except your intended target. It's a pretty simple way of explaining it, right? If you're trying to send your username and password to Wells Fargo, you want Wells Fargo to be able to read it. You want nobody else to be able to read it. It would be quite bad if other people on the internet could read your username and password to Wells Fargo, right? So that's cryptography. Corporate censorship. And corporations take down. So in our country, censorship, the rule, the First Amendment only applies to the government. The government cannot censor free speech, right? If I say, I believe that sunglasses are awesome and everyone should buy sunglasses, the government can't stop me from saying that. However, YouTube could be like, oh, that violates our anti-sunglass policy, and they could take down this video, right? Like last week, I had a video taken down by YouTube. I have no idea why. They didn't explain it. All I got was the video. This video has been it's in violation of the rules. You cannot appeal this decision. I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm talking about hash tables, computer science. It wasn't even this class. Like this class, I can see people probably getting upset at me for something. Like I'm pretty sure I've offended everybody, maybe, if you're easily offended at least once in this class, right? Because I try to be very fair, and whenever I pick something going after the right wing, I go after the left wing, I go after the center wing, maybe not as often, but, no. Talking about hash tables, YouTube, no notification takedown. My students were watching, it was up for a day, and then all of a sudden the stream just stopped working. They're like, why is the stream not working? I'm like, I don't know. And then I re-uploaded the video without changing a single thing, and it went up. Right? So, corporate censorship is when corporations censor what would otherwise be free speech. And, we haven't talked about copyright. We could probably do that. I'm not even talking about, like, copyright violations, like, if I was uploading a copy of Frozen 2 or something. I'm not even talking about that. It's just like when the corporations get involved in the discussion, right? Like Reddit took down the largest Republican, subreddit of all time, right? And had been gunning after it for a while. Like there was a released log of the admins of Reddit talking about how they could take it down and stuff like that. And if they had been the government, they wouldn't have been able to do that under the First Amendment. But as a corporation, First Amendment doesn't apply to them. It's their party. It's their rules. If you don't want to be invited to the party, you got to play. You got to play by the rules if you go to the party. And so the most interesting thing I've read in a long time happened last week, where the Supreme Court issued an opinion on this subject. Like I posted it on Discord for you guys. The Supreme Court said all of these big internet companies are acting as common carriers now and should start having the responsibilities of a common carrier, which is different. That's a sea change from the legal model, Section 230, that has been guiding them this whole time. The rule that's been guiding them this whole time is that as long as the Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and YouTube, as long as they handle copyright takedown requests, they're protected from being responsible for anything the users say, but they can also moderate it however they want. And the Supreme Court said they should be considered common carriers. They should not be able to engage in viewpoint discrimination. Like the phone company can't shut you down because you're a Republican, or they can't shut you down because you're a Democrat, right? But Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, in theory could, in theory they could. The biggest thing to me is like I said, Reddit taking down the largest Republican subreddit for violating the rules, right? But the thing is, if you have a community with millions of people in it, some of them are going to violate the rules, right? So it's like, was that equal enforcement? Probably not. But Reddit, in order to be balanced, every time they took down a Republican subreddit, they would just find a random, left-wing one. Although those also had plenty of examples of them violating the rules. Because again, if you have a large community, some of them are going to violate the rules. It's going to happen, right? So they took down Chapo Trap House because they took down the Donald, right? And so, they would explode a community, and then they would be like, all right, we'll explode that community, and to maintain balance, and there's some great articles on how Facebook, in order to not anger Republicans, every time they shut down like a right-wing group, they would find a left-wing group and shut it down too, just kind of to maintain the semblance of balance, right? So there's some good articles out there on how it's actually left-wing or right-wing bias, because they were just kind of exploding left-wing groups that didn't violate the rules as much as the right-wing groups, according to the authors. And so, they say the censorship went the other way. So, corporate censorship, big topic we've talked about in this class. I haven't done manufacturing consent yet. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, and then as always, logic, fallacies, and cognitive biases. Okay. Any questions? How many questions will be on the test? I'll just keep writing questions until I get bored. Depends if my friends want to play Endless Space 2 or not. Probably about the same as on that. I usually shoot for to to be less sarcastic, or joking. I guess I'm not really sarcastic. Usually they're in the 25 to 30 question range. But basically I just kind of go over, I have a list of topics, like this, for example. And I'm like, oh, I don't have a question about that yet. And I'll put a question on it. So I think back about all the different lectures I've given. To review, if you want, you can watch the older lectures. How many hours of YouTube is that? The test is open internet. It is open notes. You can watch my old lectures. You're probably going to run out of time if you rely on that too much, but you can always do that. It's fine. I want you guys to be able to answer the questions. It's not open friend. You can't talk to other people. Don't post questions on Chegg. Which always annoys me when students do that. It's like, dude, come on. Or if you're going to post on Chegg, at least take your username off. Like, come on. Come on, bro. It's just amateur level right there. I had to sign up for a Chegg account just so I could search for my students posting my questions on Chegg. It's super annoying. It's like, I don't want to give these, scammers money, These people that are engaging in widespread academic fraud. I don't want to give them money, but it was useful for finding students uploading my questions. And I'd be surprised if the people on Chegg could actually answer a lot of these things, right? Midterms all multiple choice, yeah. Unless you want there to be like essay questions or something, but no set theory. Yes. No set theory. Right there. For the sample midterm, do we just skip the set theory? Sure. Yeah. Just don't worry about it. It's not like the sample midterm counts for your grade or anything. So. A few meme questions. If you guys want, sure. Why not? I've still been saving these memes. Like, my friends post things on Facebook, and I'm like, that's a good one. Great fallacy right there. Save. I've just got this huge collection of memes, and I could probably put a couple up. But what I found is that students do less well because there's an extra step in between where, like, if I say X implies Y, not Y, therefore not X, students can look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Most ones. If I move it up a layer of abstraction and say, if I play Hades, I'll be happy. You see me happy, therefore I play Hades. Wrong. X implies Y, Y, therefore X. Wrong. Affirming the consequent. That's an extra level of translation, an extra level of abstraction that students have trouble with. And then if I take it back another level and post a meme where somebody is making the affirming the consequent fallacy, then there's like two levels that you have to mentally go through to get to the heart of the matter. That said, it's probably a good exercise for you, honestly. Being able to look at what people post and just be like, oh, that's right. No. You need to be able to look at it and translate the memes that people post into logical arguments and see if the logical argument actually is fallacious or valid or sound. Yeah. So most people save memes because they like them. Meanwhile, over here in computer science, wow, look at that fallacy of composition saved. You know what? You're not wrong. If somebody posted a fallacy of composition, meme, I'm like, because it's hard to find good examples for fallacy of composition, right? Arguing that what's true of the part is true of the whole. It's not a very common meme. Straw man, very common, right? There's plenty of common memes that we've talked about before, but fallacy of composition, I'd be like, boom, saving that. Absolutely. Moral frameworks, yes, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. Moral frameworks. No, the moral frameworks, and no theories of truth. There will probably be like, 5 questions, maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of those. Might do matching. I might just be like, hey, it's okay to murder the homeless people and take their organs because that will be a net benefit to society. What moral framework is this? Utilitarianism. Right. So yeah, good one. A few meme questions. What's Mr. Kearney's favorite meme? Ooh, that's a good one. What is my favorite meme? Like asking what your favorite movie is. There's just so many. We'll just do an essay question for the extra credit. The test will be posted Friday after class. Yeah, I don't start tests while I'm lecturing. The students will not pay attention to me if there's an open test at the time. They will be studying for the test. So the midterm will open after class on Friday. Okay. And then return to Monkey. Yeah. And then it will end at the start of class on Monday. Hard deadline. If you miss the midterm, you will get a 0 on it. But you've got all weekend to work on it, so yeah. Just get it done. Always check Canvas, check your due dates on Canvas and stuff like that. All right, so that's it. I'll hang out. It's office hours right now. I'll hang out and answer any questions you guys have about these topics. Basically, you just have to understand conceptually these things, right? You just have to understand conceptually these things. I'll post the notebook. I don't need you anymore. I can unpin you. So let me post the notebook. People who specify can view. Anyone with a link. Send copy of page. No, I don't want to send copy of page. Anyone with a link. Anyone with a link can view. Anyone with a link can view. Copy the link. There we go. One notes for this class. There will be class on Friday. Yeah, probably get to set theory. No, that's YouTube. Damn it! What happened there? Did I just copy the link? Copy the link. Okay, there we go. Will there be truth table questions? Yes. Logic is logic. Is that? Yeah, as always, logic, fallacies, kind of devices. Yeah. Okay. So truth tables are confusing. Then the Zybooks has plenty of truth tables. I'd work through those and just get those down solid. One note that's for the class. There you go. Not looking forward to the valid questions. Yeah. Yeah, it can be tricky, but you have to, anytime like a premise might be true, like I like pizza, like in general, I'll tell you, like I do actually like pizza, or I hate pizza. Then you'll know if it's valid versus sound. Right? Well, there'll be like 26 questions around there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I sort of target the 25 to 30 area for the test, and when I get to the end, I kind of review my notes and be like, oh, I forgot to do something on framing. And I'll put a question in or so. It's in that range. Yeah. So you'll have 2 hours to do 30 questions, let's say. So it's like 4 minutes a question. Pretty generous, I think. Like, I aim for these tests to take between half an hour to an hour, and then I just like double what I think the slowest amount of time should be. Plenty of time to Google things, It's not, but not enough time you can just sit there and watch entire YouTube videos, right? It'd be kind of ridiculous. Okay. Will we have those questions on the screen to look over? Yeah, I just posted the OneNote containing this here. Midterm 2 questions. I just posted the link on Discord and I will pin it right now. It is pinned. Okay. So yeah, just click on that link and it'll actually maybe pull up the entire OneNote for all my different classes. And so just click on the folder tab for CSI 1. And then click on today's notes. That'll go through those details and then all the other things that I've talked about as well. All or nothing fallacy, existential quantifiers, that kind of stuff. All those notes are on that link. Okay. Cool. All right. So, Gambate, good luck, you guys. And we'll probably start talking about set theory on Friday. Although, maybe next Monday. And we do need to start getting to some more of the basics of programming. And there's kind of like at least probably two more social issues in computer science we need to talk about too. But then I'm going to get into set theory, and we'll do some more pretty straightforward programming assignments. That's the plan. Okay. See you guys.